Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, A.J. Brown, Dak Prescott rolled ice cream for some reason. Maybe we'll talk about all of that coming up next on the PHLY Eagles podcast with Zack Berman in studio. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles show on a Monday, 2 p.m., and we are presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, and we are here the day after a surprisingly tense 28-23 Eagles victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars that for most of the game was much more lopsided. We're here to talk about it. We've slept on it. There's plenty to unpack. Zack Berman, how you doing?
Doing great. Thrilled to be in.
Nice
on a
to
Monday.
be back, just you and me.
Exactly.
You know?
I missed this. I missed
these
this.
other jabrones.
No disrespect to Fran or Professor Selman, but yeah, it's this is like our first year of the show. This is when we tried to build it from scratch.
Real hard scrabble stuff.
Yeah, we'll always have that first year.
I suppose so. I mean, not really. Time is, sort of, always running through your hands like bits of sand. But
You're getting deep on me now.
I guess physically, as long as YouTube is around, we will have access to those videos.
Yes, and the memories.
That I cannot promise. Yeah.
Well, I have them. So.
All right. What would you like to start with, Zack? Now, I guess we should start with the breaking news.
Yes.
That Dak Prescott expected to miss multiple weeks with a hamstring injury. That means that he will not play on Sunday against the Eagles when they travel to a place that has been a real problem for them. Presumably Cooper Rush set to start against the Eagles as this defense continues to sort of get a break.
Yeah, this is a huge break for the Eagles. And you always knew that even with the way the Cowboys were playing, when you have Dak Prescott and you have CeeDee Lamb, you have to worry about them, right? And you have to worry about them much less when Cooper Rush is on the field. The Eagles have seen Cooper Rush before. Interestingly, the last time they saw Cooper Rush, Kellen Moore was Cooper Rush's offensive coordinator. So I don't want to say it comes full circle, but it's interesting how that works out. This is a team that is undermanned. We'll see Micah Parsons' status. I don't know if he's going to be out there. We'll see CeeDee Lamb's status. But this is...
Yeah, you worry about CeeDee Lamb evolving and getting even better and turning into MP3 Lamb.
That's a Bo joke if I've ever heard one. Okay. You crack Julia up, right? That's so...
That did not deserve...
That's the great thing.
That did not deserve as loud as she is laughing.
That's the great thing about a live show is you have an audience in Julia who appreciates your sense of humor.
Yes.
It makes one of us, right? Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah, I don't take any offense to that.
So, yeah, this is a huge break for the Eagles. The Cowboys were already struggling. Now, when I put this out that they'll see Cooper Rush, someone responded maybe Trey Lance. I don't know if that would be the case, but you never know. The Saints bypassed Jake Haener, who is their backup quarterback, to go to Spencer Rattler, who theoretically had more upside. And so
how'd that work out for him?
not particularly well. Dennis Allen got fired today, by the way.
Yes.
A tailspin that started with the Eagles lost that day. They were 2-0. They were like the talk of the league.
Best team in the league. Yeah.
Then,
how are we going to possibly stop this Clint Kubiak offense?
And then Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley.
Turned out the Cowboys just stunk.
That too. You're right. So yeah. So I'm curious to see. I imagine it would be Cooper Rush, but the Eagles, as you referenced, they haven't won there since 2017 in Dallas. It's been a tough place for the Eagles to play. So I would expect. I think they opened as 6-point favorites.
6.5.
6.5, and that was before the Prescott news was official. You imagine that was baked in, right? Because he's coming off the injury. What?
I can't. Somebody said something about a pizza oven, so I don't know if you're going baked in on that.
No, I'm looking at you in the eyes when I speak. I'm not reading the comments.
You read the comments more than I do. How dare you?
I gotta say, since I started on this job, I think my eyesight has devolved. I can't read that right now. Like it's blurry to me. So
it says Zack, take it off.
No, that I see Fran Duffy saying, "What's up, sickos?" Fran, I gotta tell you, I get so many compliments about Fran when I'm in the wild, if you will. When people talk, when I say, "What can we do to improve the show?" It's the number one question I ask people, and people are like, "I love that you guys brought Fran in." It's like the Eagles adding Saquon, right? It's boosted the show in a big way.
So you're not getting a lot of people complimenting me.
It has nothing to do with you. No, it has nothing to do with you. It's that Fran was a huge addition.
Yeah, of course he is. Yes. Everybody knows that.
Yes,
the biggest no-brainer of all time.
Absolutely.
Okay. Meanwhile, on the injury front,
and the haircut they like as well. So
get me started, Zack. I'm trying to not lean this show into the politics. I'm trying to make this a football show, please. And you're making me really want to.
All right, no. Let's avoid politics.
We got a 2-hour trade deadline show tomorrow.
Yes,
2 to 4.
Right in the crux of it. Right.
Yeah. So we got a lot to talk about.
We got to make sure there's no CNN alerts during the. It's early enough that we have nothing to work. Yeah.
So you think?
Something true.
Speaking of which, Zack, by the way, you have a nice story on allphly.com, and everybody needs to know that we are down to the wire here. This is your last chance to get that great introductory deal to become a diehard for just an average of $4 a month. This is the last time. So, get on it. I imagine most of the sickos are already diehards, but if you're not, if you're slacking and you're not pulling your weight and supporting Zack Berman for all the blood, sweat, and tears that he gives to you, now is your chance.
And if I can pump up our coverage overall, but Bo's Wolf stands are laugh out loud. Like, seriously, you don't. When I gotta
tell you, there's nothing less funny than someone telling you, "Read this. This is funny."
Well, here, how about if I frame it like this? Okay, I'm proud of the work I produce, but admittedly, not all the work I produce is like so original. Now, I want you to come to us because, I'll put a different spin on it. But some of the quotes you can find elsewhere. Some, the Sirianni quote. You
do that thing. You do that thing where you put sentences together. And
your Q&As are the only place you can find them is allphly.com.
Listen, if you're not gonna boast about yourself, I mean, do it for Fran.
Fran's film reviews
and
and his opponent previews. Les Bowen's. He's 3 decades of institutional knowledge. You can only read his work on allphly.com. He has a lot of laugh out loud lines in his stories as well, if I may say. And then, by the way, you don't just get access to our Eagles coverage. Kyle Neubeck killed it this past weekend. I thought his Embiid coverage was really strong. He kills it every day. Derek Bodner, been a long-time reader. He always brings it. Charlie O'Connor. Everything I know about the Flyers is really from Charlie's work. So our coverage is outstanding. Jim Salisbury on the Phillies. So, make sure you check out allphly.com.
Almost 1,500 new diehards have signed up to take advantage of this lowest price ever. Join that group. Okay. We don't have any news on A.J. Brown yet, right?
No. So Jordan Schultz from Fox Sports, I got that correct this time. He said this morning that word
it's Jordan Sports from Fox Schultz.
No, it's not. It's Jordan Schultz. That word is it's not serious. We'll see. Like, maybe not serious could mean a few weeks as opposed to the season, right? So we'll see what it is. We speak to Nick Sirianni in an hour. I can't imagine Nick's going to have this substantive update for us, but we'll see. And the other thing I think to really monitor this week too is Dallas Goedert, right? If you recall, Dallas Goedert returned in Dallas last year. He said Dallas has a nice ring to it. I remember saying that on the show. Got a complete no sell from you. But
it's not yet the first time that's happened. I think we've told this story before. My favorite Les Bowen face of all time was made in a scrum about a decade ago when Andy Reid was asked about Dallas Reynolds, who was stepping in for the injured Jason Kelce, starting against the Dallas Cowboys, and it was like are you worried at all about having starting Dallas? And Les just gives a classic. Like just
Yes.
absolute disgust with the question.
Yeah.
Really fantastic.
The difference here is this is the player saying it and not the reporter saying it. So that like Dallas Goedert said the line, trying to get some, like that was his material for the day. The Dallas and Dallas line.
Dallas does Dallas.
No,
A little masturbatory.
I'm staying away from that one. Staying far away from that one. But to be serious here, Dallas Goedert's been he's been out for 3 weeks. The Eagles elected not to put him on IR. Now, they haven't been hurting for roster spots during this time, but who knows, right? And so, what?
Julia's laughing because she's showing us the comment that Fran says tomorrow he's going to show up and jump over the desk butt first.
He's done everything else since he's been here. So, I wouldn't doubt that. That's the Saquon analogy. I just put that together.
You just put that together?
Yeah. I thought he was just so excited to come in. I mean, I saw it 5 seconds ago, so it took me like a beat. Dallas Goedert, if the Eagles don't bring him back this week, then it means they probably should have put him on IR. So you at least want to see Dallas Goedert return to practice this week.
Yeah, I actually I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world if he doesn't, and like there was a chance that he could play in this game. Like that was probably worth rolling the dice as opposed to saving that 53rd roster spot. But yeah, I mean, if he can't play the following week, then they clearly made a miscalculation or there was some kind of setback.
And if A.J. Brown doesn't play this week, then that becomes even more important because you want the dynamic threat in the passing
And by the
game.
way, isn't today the deadline for Alberto?
Was that when they returned to practice on the Monday or was it the Wednesday? I have to look that up.
Oh, the Monday. The Anais was a Monday because
because it was after the bye. If you remember.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so it was a Wednesday. So they have till Wednesday for Alberto.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
After the bye, they returned to practice on the Monday.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. All right. Let's start with, speaking of Fran's butt, let's start with Saquon Barkley.
Okay.
You posed the question as we were talking about potential ideas for topics today. Is he even better than you expected? Yes. By a long shot. Is he not better than you expected, or is this what you expected?
No, he is. And so Nick Sirianni was asked this yesterday, and this is something that I've been talking about, that the Eagles thought that there was meat on the bone in the running game, but you didn't quite know what it was going to look like, right? Some of this was optimism, some of this was projection. He's been even better. I've seen outstanding Saquon games in Eagles-Giants games. I remember his rookie year, the explosiveness was apparent, but you see it in bits and pieces. And you've brought up throughout the course of the year the before contact stats. When I was looking it up today, it really jumps at me because you don't just see the benefit of having Saquon, you see the benefit of Saquon being in Philadelphia, right? So consider this, right? 42.2% of his yards have come before contact this season. With the Giants last year, it was only 25.3% of his yards before contact. Last year, he averaged 0.98 yards before contact. He's averaging 2.49 yards before contact this year.
Do you know where those rank?
I looked at it in his numbers. So that's a good question. I should look that up. But even, I did, for the basis of comparison, look at Swift last year. So 47% of Swift's yards last year were before contact, right? So it's 42% this year from Barkley. So Barkley's really seeing the benefit of being in this offense. And I think, too, when you talk about the explosiveness, it's pure physics, I imagine. If you're able to build up that, if you're able to accelerate before someone touches you, you'll be able to you'll be able to explode faster through the hole.
Easier to break tackles, probably. Yeah,
exactly. And so
theoretically, if it's linebackers versus defensive linemen, easier to break those tackles.
Exactly.
The further you get into the
precisely.
defense. Yeah.
So his yards after contact this year are actually the highest of his career. Now, that's obviously if he pulls off a 50-yard run and he gets touched at these 6 yards in, it skews those numbers. But he's been so explosive. He's been durable. Now, he was banged up yesterday. He said that after the game. He was dealing with something. He didn't want to get into it. But he says he feels good for this time of year. He's on pace. Now, I've said this on the show. Derek Jeter hates the on pace thing because you actually have to play it, right? But if you extrapolate his 8-game numbers over 17 games, he's on pace for 334 carries, 1,966 yards. 334 carries would be like ridiculously high. Yeah. Really, what the Eagles need is some games like
Well, listen, that's
where
a
they get
big
leads.
part of why yesterday was disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, if Saquon doesn't fumble that ball, and we can get to whether or not he thought there was a bad call or not, but if that doesn't happen, they've got a chance to just ice away the game in the fourth quarter, and he can sit the whole time. That's like another. I mean, he had like 10 carries in the fourth quarter. So yeah, I mean that's a big deal, and he has been unbelievably productive, as you said. I was looking at just most rushing yards for any player of the past decade through this season's first 8 games. It's number 1 is 2024 Derrick Henry. Number 2 is 2021 Derrick Henry. Number 3 is Saquon at 925. 177 touches though. That's a lot of touches. Now it's not totally out of the norm from him for an 8-game stretch because boy, do the Giants totally lean on him.
Yep.
He's had 14 different 8-game stretches, most of them in 2022 and his rookie season when he had that many touches. But I think if you're the Eagles and you're thinking about, we got to be relevant and have him at his best in January, I think it is getting to the point now where you got to be a little bit conscious of trying to not overuse him.
Now, let me pose that. Yeah, you are right about that. And some of that has to do, too, with, like, the hits you take. He hasn't really taken some of these huge collisions, but it is every time you get hit, it adds up. It accumulates.
Unless it's a snow game.
Unless it's a snow game, correct.
It was from Shady's press conference yesterday. That's what he liked about the snow game. Is
exactly.
that even when he got to the ground, it was like he was falling on pillows.
It was like padding. That's true. Yeah, it's fluffy. Let me ask you this, because I was thinking of this when I sent you the question. How does this offense look? How different does it look if that is DeAndre Swift or Miles Sanders in there? So not to say replacement level, but players who were awfully productive, Pro Bowl running backs in this system, 1,000-yard guys, but clearly not at the skill level of Saquon Barkley. How does this look?
Well, first of all, I would quibble because I think the lesson from
is that they
seeing those guys
certainly
elsewhere
Miles Sanders,
is that they probably were replacement level in this offense,
sure,
right? For a starting running back.
So when I think replacement level, I think more like
I know.
Like the guy you're signing,
Kenny Gainwell.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I was about to say Kenny, but I didn't want it to be like I'm just ripping on Kenny. But yeah.
But
I think Kenny's.
I think this offense would look a lot worse.
Yeah.
With a different running back, don't you?
Absolutely.
I mean, there have been a lot of plays, and some of it is he's turning a 2-yard gain into a 6-yard gain. Like, the Kenny Gainwell's first carry of the game yesterday is the reason why the Eagles didn't score on their opening drive.
Yep.
It's 3rd and 2. They gave it to Kenny Gainwell, and he gets 1 yard, and then they have the false start on what should have been the tush push. It actually wasn't, and we can get to that later as well. But, like Kenny Gainwell's had some nice runs this season, but if he was your featured back, this offense would be incredibly less explosive. I think, aside from A.J. Brown, and if you're dinging him for the games missed, Saquon has arguably been the most important player on the offense.
I have a feature coming out this week on a topic.
Most important might be tough. I mean, like Lane and Jalen and DeVonta. But yes, he's making an enormous difference. He is proving the theory of signing him correct. Now, he has to stay healthy through another year and a half, but the multiplying effect of him being in this offense with this offensive line and the other weapons is proving true.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, and the reason why Lane Johnson's like part of the reason why Lane Johnson said they wanted to lean on the run is because they have a special player back there. You mentioned signing him to be correct. I have a feature coming out this week that we spoke about a week and a half ago with Professor Selman, and I thought his points were really sound about like how the free agent running backs this year were special. It's not necessarily a sea change in the NFL or a tide change in the NFL, but there's 2 reasons why I'm writing it this weekend. It kind of works out. Dallas took the opposite approach. Dallas was basically like, look, we can patch together a running game. We don't have to spend money at this position. They can go Rico Dowdle. Now, they like Jonathan Brooks in the draft, but it didn't work out. But even Jonathan Brooks wouldn't have been back by now. But Rico Dowdle, they've gone with Zeke Elliott, Dalvin Cook, like just patchwork group, and they haven't been effective, whereas the Eagles went in the other direction. So kind of juxtaposing those 2 teams. But also, when you look at the rushing leaders in the NFL, the top 3 rushers in the NFL are Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs. All veteran running backs, high-priced players who switched teams this year. Now, they went to good teams, right? So I think Baltimore, Philly, and Green Bay went into the year as legitimate Super Bowl contenders. So that kind of proves the point that like it wouldn't have made sense for the Giants to maybe keep Saquon or the Titans to keep, or the Titans to keep Henry or the Raiders to keep Jacobs. But when you're talking about the value of the player, and this goes back to the conversation we had at the owners' meetings, when you compare spending, the Jags spent now Gabe Davis didn't play yesterday, but $13 million on Gabe Davis, right? Or spending it on a top shelf running back. If you're a contending team,
Mooney is the same. He's been very good for the Falcons.
Yeah. But if you're a legitimate contender, right, then Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, it's showing can raise the level of your offense. The Ravens' offense is better with Derrick Henry in it. Now, I know J.K. Dobbins was injured last year, so that affected their plans. The Packers, Aaron Jones is good, but Josh Jacobs has been really productive there. But these teams are really benefiting from these high-priced veteran running backs. And if you look at the free agent busts this offseason, or if you look at probably the bang for the buck, actually, it's been the running backs, whereas you don't typically see that to be the case.
Yeah, I'm a little bit wary of drawing that as a
okay. Well, I mean, this is a special class. Like I wouldn't say next year's class you would do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not like we're learning that signing veteran running backs in free agency for contenders is a good idea. Yeah. It's that we're learning that signing Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry in those situations was a good idea.
And that's the point I'm going to make in the article, is that if you look at next year's class, like Najee Harris, I don't think Najee.
Yeah, these were already special players.
Yeah, like I don't think teams should go crazy for Najee Harris next offseason. I don't think if you look at some of the other running backs, I mean, J.K. Dobbins is like Chuba Hubbard. If the Panthers don't keep him, if they're turning to Jonathan Brooks, Hubbard's been really productive this year. I don't think a team should go out and spend $10 million a year on Hubbard, right? Or $8 million a year on Hubbard. But my point is that these special players, the year before when Saquon was tagged and Jacobs was tagged, but it was a depressed market, and that's when all those conversations about like this running back union took place, right? But what you're seeing now is the benefit of these players in particular.
Yeah, and I also, just from a aesthetic standpoint, like watching Saquon, I've been so pleasantly surprised. Like it's a lot of fun. Now, he did have a couple negative plays yesterday, which we talked about on the post-game show, and he said,
real quick,
go ahead, your boy,
Baron Browning,
your boy.
I've been mentioning
this is a match made in heaven. Your boy goes to your boy.
Yeah. So Jonathan Gannon clearly has good taste, right? The Cardinals are trading for Baron Browning, edge rusher Baron.
Poor
Browning.
man's Dennis Gardeck.
So that is that takes away that possibility for the
that would have
Eagles.
been a big one for you.
Yes. Yeah, that would have been a good hit. That's true.
Okay.
Now, if Kempsky hits on Cooper, Jonathan Cooper, the other potential trade candidate from the Broncos, then I would have to tip my cap to I bowed him.
What was this?
I bowed him. I was bowing.
Tip my cap.
I would tip my cap.
What in the world was that?
I bowed and tipped. Yeah.
That wasn't a bow, though.
That was a bow, like that. Like
you went like this.
No, like that.
I don't know. I think you should actually stop doing the bow.
Okay.
Just
tip my cap.
Okay. All right. Weird stuff. All right. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Saquon in just a sec, but we got to get to our friends, our sponsors. Oh, Rocket Money. Can you name every single subscription you have? I know I can't name all of mine. And I'm not alone, because I just learned by reading this that over 74% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about. And I am absolutely among that group. With Rocket Money, I don't have to remember every subscription or worry about forgetting any, because I see them all laid out right in front of me. Most Americans think they spend about $62 per month on subscriptions, but the real number is closer to $300. That is a big difference. Even if it's just a couple of subscriptions that fall off your radar, those recurring payments you don't even know about can really add up. And what else they do is sometimes those prices go up. And I've been waiting for this alert, and I got it yesterday. You know, when you lease a new car, you get the satellite radio that comes with it, and they're giving you that introductory rate, but it's going to spike at some point.
Yes.
And you're just waiting for that bad boy to spike. and I got a Rocket Money alert on my phone, I kid you not, yesterday, that one had spiked up, and now I know it's time to call those people and say, hey, I'm no rube. I got Rocket Money on my side. Give me the original price, you ding-dongs. Fucking ridiculous. Thank God I've got Rocket Money in my pocket. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/PHLY. That's rocketmoney.com/PHLY. rocketmoney.com/PHLY.
Bo, big day for you today.
Uh-oh.
Wake Forest basketball kicking off tonight. Coppin State.
Yeah, 33.5-point favorites.
There you go. So
opened at 30, I think.
So a lot has changed over the years, but one thing that hasn't is that Bo Wulf likes watching the Demon Deacons.
Goddamn right.
Another thing that hasn't is the great taste of Miller Lite. So if you're like Bo and you're celebrating the start of college basketball season by kicking your legs up and watching a big college basketball game and with a nice ice-cold Miller Lite, you should know that there's so many great things about it, including the fact that it has great taste and is less filling.
Hunter Salas, Wooden Award watch. Big, could be first-round pick.
There you go. They've had many first-round picks since 1975. That's when Miller Lite sparked this debate, and we still
James Johnson, Jeff T.
And we still haven't settled. Tim Duncan,
Chris Paul.
A lot of these guys enjoy the great taste.
Josh Howard.
Yeah, a lot of these players. I don't think Josh Howard was a first-round.
Rodney Rogers.
Rest in peace, right? He passed away, didn't he? Or did he just get? Take that away. Take that back. I'm sorry. Something happened with Rodney Rogers, right? Please let me finish the ad read. A lot's
John
changed.
Collins.
A lot's changed over the years, but not the great taste of Miller Lite.
Muggsy Bogues.
It's the best light beer. It keeps it simple, undebatable quality, great taste, only 96 calories. It's the beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most, a light beer that tastes like beer. Less filling and only 96 calories, the original light beer since 1975. You don't need to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLYBirds, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
Al Farouk Aminu.
I just want to, now I can say, Rodney Rogers, thankfully, is still with us.
Okay. Congratulations to Rodney Rogers.
Rodney Rogers had a tragic accident, an ATV accident a few years ago. So I apologize to Rodney Rogers for conflating that.
Will you also please apologize to Josh Howard?
He is a first-round pick, yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm
like,
sorry.
I was going to get that wrong. Come on.
I was trying to tell everyone about our friends at Miller Lite. I wasn't trying to give Wake Forest trivia. But
believable. We talked about it a little bit on the postgame show just to close the loop on Saquon because we said we would talk about the negative plays. The going down when he could have gotten the first down on that second down run. I know you talked about it when you joined us on the postgame show, but in case people missed that, he said that was about ball security and not time management?
Exactly. So he said that when he got the ball, he did not know where the closest defender was. He thought it was more important there to live to see another down than possibly risk fumbling the ball. He kind of felt unsure about that situation. When he got to the sideline, players told him that his teammates told him he could have got the first down. And he said he should have kind of trusted himself. He should have felt that he could get it. He said it was not a question of trying to run the clock. Nick Sirianni goes over situational ball with him, and he knows in that spot the first down is more important than the clock. He said that was simply a matter of ball security.
But that's such a weird thing because he didn't, he sort of slid.
Yeah, well, he wanted to just give himself up.
Yeah,
I think if you don't slide, you're not giving. I think if you go to as we saw before, exactly
on his actual fumble.
Yeah.
What did you think of the call a day later? Some people think it's like a really, really terrible call. I still can't get there. I don't know.
Yeah,
I do think it's weird that they said it confirmed and not they didn't have enough evidence to overturn. But
yeah, the Dickerson part, I had not heard that before. That explanation.
Yeah, it feels like that can't be right. And if you just extrapolate it to
it kind of seems like one of those things where you try to explain it after the fact, and you're looking. Yeah. People said that stumble's not in the rule book. I don't know if that was just a term that they used or what, but they considered it a stumble instead of down by contact.
Okay. Nick Sirianni, also in focus a day later. What are your thoughts on the focus on his fourth down decision making and game management in this game?
Yeah, you know what? And I was on Anthony's show this morning, and as you imagine, I debated.
It's his favorite thing, yeah.
I debated with Anthony about it, and I saw people in the chat saying that beat writers are afraid to rip on Sirianni because you'll lose access. Like, it has nothing to do with that.
Please.
I agreed with the 2-point conversions. I agreed with most of the fourth down decisions. I did not agree with the play call. So I would separate the play call from the decision. I did not like the 2-point conversion play call and the fourth down play call when they had Jalen Hurts rolling out. If you're not going to quarterback sneak there, and I don't think your lack of success on quarterback sneak before that should mean, like, let's just throw this out. But I would hand it off to Saquon. Or, I thought both those passing plays, they weren't well executed. Or it was dead in the water. So
yeah, I think you can bang on Sirianni for the short yardage execution in this game, and even more so than the decision making, because these shouldn't be difficult plays to convert. And you could make the case that maybe they rely too much on the tush push. And it was weird on that first 4th and 1 on the opening drive. They were scared to run the tush push there. It hadn't been stopped yet. It was like they were a little bit worried about, like, I don't know, Doug Peterson having some kind of juju against it. And that's an execution error. You run the clock down, and then there's a false start, and they were going to just try to run around. And then, yes, I thought the worst thing that Sirianni did was that 4th and inches play call, where, I mean, it's inches. You got to trust the tush push there. And if not, then maybe you do kick the field goal.
Well, that's the thing. That's the play where I would kick the field goal. It was a slight, very, very slight lean toward go for it in the Ben Baldwin fourth down bot. But the win probability wouldn't have changed between field goal and go for it there. It was 90%, I think, either way when I put in all the data there. So I would have kicked the field goal in that spot to go up from 6 to 9. It was a 6-point lead. It would have made it a 2-possession game. Now, the Eagles still made it a 2-possession game with the DeVonta Smith touchdown on the next drive. That's when Doug Peterson had that awful punt. I don't know why Doug punted from that spot there.
Big super for me.
But the reason is because even if you convert the first there's still a decent chance you'd end up kicking a field goal anyways. Like, you're not guaranteed to score a touchdown. It's not like you were in the low red zone at that point. You were at a point where you still need to gain yards and convert to score a touchdown. I would have gone from 6 to 9 there, but I wasn't, like, appalled by the decision. I was appalled by the play call. I did not like the play call there. I thought 4th and inches, and that was inches. That wasn't like a long 1 or long 2. I would have gone.
It was different even than the 2-point conversion was.
Yeah, I would have gone for the quarterback sneak or handed the ball to Saquon.
What about the 57-yard field goal?
Yeah, that one, I was wrestling that in my mind. I can see the argument for going for it there. It is a long field goal. I'm okay with the field goal. Now, 57 yards is not a chip shot. I don't buy the argument that Jake Elliott hadn't kicked in a while. Like, Jake Elliott's a kicker.
Seems silly,
that's his job.
You trust him or you don't.
Exactly. But that was actually a slight lean go for it in the Ben Baldwin bot.
That was my lean, but it was that was one where I don't know if there's a good answer. Like, that's just a tough situation.
As for the 2-point conversions, I think what's important to say there is those are simple math. Now when there's penalties, the Eagles always go for the 2-point conversion when it's a play at the 1-yard line as opposed to the 2-yard line. If you just look at success rate there, it behooves you to go for it unless an extra point wins the game for you, right? The one where there wasn't a penalty, the extra point would have made it a 13-point game. The 2-point conversion would have made it a 14-point game. There's very little difference between 12 and 13 at that point. There's quite a bit of a difference between 12 and 14. So I don't know why they would have kicked the extra point there. I disagreed on that argument. And by the way, Lane Johnson, when I spoke to him, Lane Johnson said that he would have no problem taking the points. He never has a problem with he said you want to convert.
Football guy.
I don't like the argument though where it's like they left 10 points on or 9 points on the board, because you can also spin it, well, if you kick the field goal, Like, you left points on the board by not going for touchdowns there,
Exactly.
right? So I don't buy that argument as much. My issue was more with the play calls, and I don't know if that's on Kellen Moore or Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, I think it's probably it was probably fine process if you in terms of the decision making on go or not go. It just was bad result. And then I also think I think the play calls and the execution was the real problem.
Now, I love Anthony. You can watch my show, or I'm sorry, you can watch Anthony's show, my appearance on Anthony's show this morning, to hear the counter argument. Anthony said that I believe in Madden, he believes in Andy Reid. And
you live in Madden?
I believe in Madden. Like, I'm like a Madden guy,
Okay.
you know.
Andy Reid goes for it on fourth down all the time now.
But I look, reasonable minds can disagree there. I think, though, I'm fairly consistent in wanting to go for fourth downs. I actually had a conversation with a coach one time about two-point conversions, and I said, why don't you just go for it every play or like every time? And the coach was like, yeah, I would kind of like to, but it's kind of hard with public approval sometimes. But if your money on
there's probably also diminishing returns of there's only so many plays.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
but if you
did it every single time, that might be tough.
Yeah. But if you go 60% during the year, you've added
52%. Yeah.
50. Yeah. I mean, there's value added. So.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, who's more of a football guy than Dan Campbell?
True.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is the same thing we talked about in 2017. They're like, it doesn't have to be football guys versus nerds. Like, there's connective tissue. Isn't the most like macho thing like, you're not going to stop us. Nobody's going to stop us. We're just going to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, our defense is going to stop you. Like, I don't know. It seems very connected.
Yeah. Like I've seen. I agree with you there. I also think it's not apples for apples, but it's like the same idea as shooting 3-pointers in basketball compared to taking layups. Like, if you hit enough 3-pointers, then
layups
the
are good.
works.
It's long twos you want to worry about.
True. I was going 3s versus 2s though, right? Like, if you're a good 3-point shooting team, if you hit on 40% of your 3s, then you're going to score a lot more points than if you hit on 50% of your 2s.
Fair enough. All right, I want to talk about Jalen Hurts after the break, but before we do that, let's get into Bryce Huff, Zach, and with the trade deadline tomorrow, Huff barely plays in this game. 1 snap in the first half, I think 6 total, and it is not totally onerous if the Eagles do want to trade Bryce Huff. They paid the signing bonus up front.
Yes.
A team trading for him is basically getting a year and a half, and next year you have him on like a $17 million deal, but you're not paying him much this year. You starting to think that's possible?
The Eagles would take a cap hit of $16.125 million. There will be no cap savings in there, so it's a sunk cost, right? But look, there was the Eagles traded Carson Wentz, took the cap hit, and lived to tell about it, right? So sometimes you take the poison, if you will. Clearly, well, so let's just rewind.
You develop the immunity to iocane powder.
Let's step back here. Nick Sirianni's explanation yesterday for the 6 snaps was that he heard.
Never have I seen you so skeptical of a person in charge.
Well, Bryce, that's not true, actually.
I think it is.
No, I do respect authority figures, but that's how I was raised. But no, I've been skeptical of coaches and GMs and owners a lot. But I think Nick was covering for something here because I understand, like, if they don't want to say they're benching this guy or that they're not exposing him, it doesn't add up to me that you would injure your hand in pregame, and then you'd be okay to play just random snaps here and there, but you wouldn't be okay to play the game, right? That doesn't completely add up to me. So, like when your hand hurt on that third down that you're rushing, but not on like the third down on the third drive, but not on the third down on the first drive, it doesn't make sense to me. So clearly there's something going on behind the scenes. And then
also maybe you would wrap it.
Yes. And then the fact that Bryce Huff did not speak to reporters after the game. He declined comment, and that there was a PR official around him that, like, there's something that, sometimes there's smoke there, right? So yeah, it's not completely onerous for them to move on. They've taken worse cap hits. The question is, would a team take him? Right? A team has to be convinced that he would be better there than he is here. Like, take the change
Well,
of
not
scenery.
if there's not much. I mean, not if it's a marginal cost.
Well, there's guaranteed salary next year.
I mean, compensation, like compensation
yeah.
wise.
No,
I
but
mean,
you have to believe in the player. You're not just
Yeah.
unless the Eagles were attaching something to it.
Yeah, but it's not a crazy contract for a 1-year deal if you're not giving up much at all. I got a couple more names for you. If we're just playing the edge rusher name game.
Oh, I like this. I love an edge rusher name game.
Since the Eagles have their proclaimed fetish for former first round picks,
Ooh,
like yourself.
Hold on here.
I know this is getting you hot and bothered.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like you talking about Ryan Nielsen right now.
Get yourself a cold glass of water, and I'm going to whisper something in your ear. You ready?
Yes.
Tyree Wilson.
Woo!
My word.
You see the wingspan on that guy?
Yeah. Payton Turner.
Nah. Doesn't do it for me.
No, but just for a former.
But let's get back to Tyree Wilson.
Travon Walker.
Wow. Man, now Travon Walker.
Blue Jew no longer necessary. Emmanuel Ogbah, not a first round pick, but Fangio connection.
Yeah.
And then Harold Landry, who we talked about.
Yes. I mean, of those guys.
I think Tyree Wilson is like so perfectly exactly what they have done all offseason that it makes a little bit of sense to me.
What's interesting about Tyree Wilson, too, is when he was coming out, there were questions about, like, what's his best fit? Is he best as a 3-4 end, right? If you think about that body that... if you think about
real time says he's uncomfortable.
If you think about the frame...
That means we're doing our job.
Tyree Wilson was... Now, I should say, we have a 2-hour trade deadline show tomorrow.
Yes.
Fran is the man. Fran will help us with all this.
Yes.
But the book on Tyree Wilson coming out was like tools out of the gym, the long wingspan, which I can't mimic clearly.
Sure. I remember the popular thing that Bo Wulf thought he was going to be a bust.
Yes, he was an older prospect who was not especially productive with sacks, but was especially productive with like pressures. So. Yeah, Bo didn't like him. I didn't love him either, actually.
Yeah.
And Vegas is a weird team right now. So yeah, but that is an interesting name. I mean, the name that you mentioned that really jumps out to me is Travon Walker.
Sure.
I can't imagine them moving on from Travon Walker. But if you make it appealing, look, just build that Georgia defense. Like, just keep going with it.
Make you happy, yeah.
Right? Yeah, keep going with it.
Okay. More to come on the other side. You don't want a false mark. You want a true mark. That's right. And with TrueMark Financial, you get that HELOC. The HELOC, the home equity line of credit, HELOC allows homeowners to borrow against home equity with a variable interest rate. Preserve your savings and get access to funds as needed for big renovations, education expenses, or emergencies. Use TrueMark Financial's budgeting tools to save for special purchases like limited edition merchandise, and transferring as little as $5 gets you $260. The good folks at TrueMark Financial from right around where Julie and Zack went to high school, and they've got their reunion coming up this weekend. Can't wait to get all the video evidence from that Hall of Fame baseball team getting inducted and enshrined on Friday. Zack.
Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
If I'm dressed up for Thursday's show, it's because I'm going straight from work to... Yeah.
Where's the party? Where can people watch?
It's a private ceremony.
Oh.
Yes.
And is everybody coming into town? Are we getting Pete Vernon in?
Oh, yeah. Pete will be there. Absolutely.
Okay. We're getting Sean Grieve?
Yeah. He's relatively local, but yeah.
Okay. Are we getting Zach Berman?
Yeah. I'm proud to be associated with these guys, but please go on with the read.
Okay. TrueMark Financial is federally insured by the NCUA and is an equal opportunity lender. For more information, visit truemark.com/PHLY. That's TRUMARK.com/PHLY.
Whenever I watch the Philly show, John Marks' show, every morning, 8 a.m. on all PHL on PHLY, I remark, John's got a great head of hair. And then I hear John talking about Dr. Glatt, and I say, all right, well.
So you say that every time you watch, even though you're familiar with his good head of hair?
Can I please read?
This is like a 51st state situation. Every morning starts with your first time watching John Marks.
I remarked that John Marks has a great head of hair, and I know that when he speaks about the Glatt hair restoration, the Morgenstern Center for Orbital and Facial Plastic Surgery, which recently welcomed the Glatt group to the practice. I know that's the place to turn. Dr. Morgenstern is a nationally recognized specialist and among the few surgeons in the country who is trained in oculofacial plastic surgery, facial cosmetic surgery, general trauma surgery, and more. As a true advocate, we are excited to have John Marks spearhead the marketing campaign on this new and it really educates. There's so much to know about this because Glatt hair restoration by Morgenstern Medical it's part of the Morgenstern Center. Glatt hair restoration is under the direction of renowned plastic surgeon Dr. Ken Morgenstern. Doctors Glatt and Morgenstern shared a remarkable bond that spanned many years as colleagues and friends, from collaborating on critical research studies to working together in the operating room. So you must be wondering what makes them better. Well, it's the same peerless approach to care, the same expert team, the same unmatched Glatt system, the same state-of-the-art location, the same stellar results. And under the direction of Dr. Morgenstern, a highly respected plastic surgeon, each member of this exceptionally trained team brings 30-plus years of industry experience. Hair restoration is all that they do. Glatt hair can help during all stages of hair loss with leading treatments for prevention, restoration, including laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatment, vitamin supplementation, topical and oral medications, PRP and stem cell restoration, and hair restoration surgery. Change your hair, change your life. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit Glatt Hair, MCTR.com, or call 610-980-4000 to get started.
Couple super chats. CDP. The Cardinals won and the Colts imploded in front of Mike Tirico. Is it safe to say Gannon is now the strongest branch of the Nick Sirianni coaching tree?
Well, it's still early, but yeah, I mean this Cardinals team is feisty, right? And I saw a tweet from our friend Nate Tice that there was the onside punt. I missed this. The Cardinals, everyone on the Cardinals knew what they do.
Ooh.
The whole special teams called the fair catch.
Okay.
Right? And he said Gannon has these guys ready.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, that's
Is it true? Did I see this could have been a joke tweet and it's wrong. That Nick Rallis's son was born and the middle name is Kaiser?
Is that right?
It could have been a joke.
Oh, I just know that he wanted to call the defense still. I think the baby was born that day or that weekend. He still called the defense. He would not give up his defensive play calling duties. I think Gannon said he's psycho, but that must be what Gannon likes about him, right?
Yeah, I mean, talk about pot calling the kettle black. What did you think of the Gannon candy take?
Oh, that
did you see this?
He was that it spikes the.
He's like, yeah, he was asked what his favorite candy is. Like, what are you, nuts? Spike my insulin in 15 seconds? Absolutely not.
And then he shouted out Johnny from PHNX. Yeah, Gannon. I mean,
not a man after your heart on the sweet tooth front, although you are anti-candy.
Yeah, I did have a bone to pick with you. I was watching Friday's show. We're listening to Friday's show because I didn't get to see the beginning. I only saw when I joined in, and you framed it like I'm anti dressing up for Halloween.
That's how you framed it.
I'm not anti-dressing up for Halloween. I think it's wonderful. I said I don't do it. I literally said
you absolutely said that you are anti-adults dressing up for Halloween.
I said I have no issue if you don't.
Julia.
I said I have no issue I said I have no issue if you dress up.
You
It's
do
not
this a
something
lot,
that I
Zach.
wanna
You
dress
do
up
this a lot. You
No.
say something and then you try to backtrack it.
No, it's not backtracking. It's
You
not
absolutely came out on the side of adults should not be dressing up for
of
Halloween.
me not dressing up. I didn't think I needed to dress up. If you listen back, I said I have no issue with that with someone else dressing up for Halloween.
I think you were casting aspersions.
I certainly was not. But nonetheless, yeah, I mean, Jonathan Gannon, whatever he's doing is working. So if he's avoiding candy, go for it. I think he has an espresso machine in his office. That's a random fact that I know. But he really likes Italian espresso, I believe.
Okay.
And he has a really nice espresso machine in his office. I'm not a
Here you go again with your coffee commercials.
I'm not a I don't know how to make a latte or a macchiato or a
Cappuccino.
but if you want
But
to,
you like a cappuccino.
that's the drink in Brazil. That was legit.
No.
That's full of sugar.
No.
No, cappuccino. Yeah. What?
No, cappuccino is like a the ice cream place, the gelato place.
No, the
You're talking
affogato
about-
is the
Affogato is a thing, yes.
yeah. That's the gelato in the espresso. That's a good combination.
Well, the espresso on the gelato, yeah. You were
Okay.
talking about the caipirinha.
Yes. Okay. In any event, I did see that, and hey, if it works for Gannon, all the power to him. I have no problem with people eating candy. It's not something I do.
Yikes. All right, next up on the Super Chat front, MJ, I go back and forth. Barkley is extremely valuable, but the eye test seems to show me AJ being on the field as the most important. Don't have the data to back it up, though. I do think,
Yeah.
I mean, AJ is more important to the success of the offense than Saquon, I think.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah,
that's why the AJ news is critical. I mean, the Eagles are 1-2 this year without AJ. The offense looks considerably better with AJ in it. AJ Brown might be the best receiver in the NFL. Receivers are more important than running backs. As good as Saquon is, yeah. If you said you can only keep one, I would keep AJ Brown.
No doubt. Jason says, what time is the Die Hard ZB Election Watch show?
No, there's no election watch. I will be watching election coverage tomorrow night. Be watching Philly's own Jake Tapper. And is that bad? Sorry. Okay. I didn't. Is that a polarizing thing to say? He's from Philly. Okay. Sorry. Let's move on. I will be watching election coverage tomorrow night.
Yeah, so is Jesse Waters.
Okay. I mean,
You're going to be watching him because he's from Philly?
no, I'll be watching Jake Tapper tomorrow night.
Let's talk about Jalen Hurts.
Is that a controversial thing I just said? Is that?
You framed the question for Jalen Hurts as, has Jalen Hurts turned the corner? Is that what you think is going on?
Water down. Has he turned the corner? Yeah, I think he's played well since the bye week. He hasn't turned the ball over. He's been efficient. He missed passes. You know, I know the AJ one crossing the middle. It comes to mind. That ball has to get out sooner.
There were two that could have been
Yeah.
picked in this game.
But I think he is playing better, and I talked about this with Anthony this morning. I think this version of Jalen Hurts will help the Eagles. I think this version makes the Eagles a legitimate contender. I'm sorry, I'm on 4 hours of sleep, so my mind isn't working as effectively.
No excuses.
Yeah, I know, but
I didn't think that
I'm
you did anything to apologize for.
I'm not as clear and concise as I want to be today. I'm on 4 hours of sleep, so.
I mean, for a Monday show, that's actually not so bad for you.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to be like next week coming home from Dallas?
Yeah, and that's true. We don't have to worry about that. I'll be on. I will be energized.
What's your flight schedule next week?
Next week, I have a 9 p.m. flight going to Dallas.
Ooh, Saturday. You're putting yourself in a tough position there. You got to get sleep the night before, Zach.
Yeah, but I got to be with the kids that day.
Okay.
We need coverage that day.
Okay.
So I'm missing my high school reunion, which is vexing. I wanted to be there with Joy. I'd be like, I know her, right? I work with her. Yes.
We're actually going to be live.
I'll be like, I'll be like, Joy, can I sneak into this conversation, right? So yeah, I unfortunately have to miss that. I was really hoping it's our 20th year reunion. I'm missing that. I was
Julia's missing it too. She's going to the Afro Man concert.
And then my flight back the next day is at 6:30 a.m.
Okay.
And,
yeah, you're gonna be in tough shape.
But I'm not renting a car for this one. Usually I rent a car in Dallas, but I'm just staying right by the airport. So because I'm getting in late, so that will chop off 30 minutes that morning because you don't have to return the rental car.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you're gonna be on like 2 hours.
I'll be tired, but we have a special guest in the studio that day. We got corporate here, so I gotta be on my game, right?
That's right. Anytime there's an authority figure, no matter the kind, you got to be obsequious.
So this is a funny story. This is a funny story that Bo might not remember this, but I remember the first time Bo really made fun of me. Well, he's made fun of me a lot, but one of the times him and Sheil really went in hard on me was my first year at our former employer, The Athletic. Do you remember this?
No.
Okay. And this was September of that year. And we had an outstanding editor, Pistol Pete, as longtime viewers know.
Oh, yes, I do remember.
And he came up from Baltimore. Okay. And then we had one of the managing editors. He came from Boston. And it was my first time meeting both of them. And we were meeting them at the Navy Yard. And I wore a shirt, a tie, a jacket. I was in like a full suit.
Yes.
And I'm like, Bo's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm meeting my boss. I have to get dressed up. And I get there, and everyone's in like a hoodie.
Yeah.
I'm in literally a full suit to meet them there. It was also my first time seeing like Derek Bodner, Charlie O'Connor, like our whole crew. And I remember everyone's like, who are you?
I just got back from my wedding.
I was in a full suit. Yeah,
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I think we'll hear more from Fran tomorrow for the full review of Jalen's game. I thought this was not his best game, but certainly he made some very good plays. I wanted to talk to you about the post-game press conference.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Because usually these are skippable from Jalen Hurts, but I was listening to it on the drive home last night. I thought he was much more insightful from a football standpoint than I can remember him being. Talking about like the defensive coverage on the touchdown pass to DeVonta Smith and how he didn't have a clear view of that throw. You know, they were in quarters and all this stuff. You talked about what he was telling you about the Nakobe Dean play. There were a couple of other answers in there that seemed to me like much more willing to give just a little bit of insight than usual. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I don't know if he was just in a good mood because they won. I did notice that Jalen had a film crew following him, or a documentary crew, or he had a camera following him.
Interesting.
And it was his own crew. It wasn't Eagles. You know, I know the Eagles entertainment group, they do an outstanding job. Always tip my cap to them. They do awesome.
Interesting. You think this was intentional myth making?
Well, I don't know if it was intentional, but like there was something being done with that post game. They were following him. There was a camera person following him. But he was terrific. I mean, I would take all of this. But if it's not the documentary, I said on Wednesday, Jalen had his best press conference he's had in a while. So maybe Jalen just is kind of getting to a point where either he's comfortable in his own voice or comfortable with us, or feels like this is an area where he can improve.
You know what the other thing was? He said, and he never gives an inch of I'm not the best quarterback in the world, right? And when he said that he struggled with the throw to DeVonta this week, the long play action one that they got, he said he missed AJ on it during practice and he missed DeVonta once. I cannot remember him ever saying something like that.
No. Yeah. So
like ever.
I agree. That's good insight by you. I agree. I also appreciated the Bruce Lee quote.
What was that? Be water?
No. Do you fear the man who practices 1,000 kicks or the same kick 1,000 times? That was good. It was a good reference there.
Okay.
But yeah, no, you're right.
Is it Bruce Lee or Lee Bruce?
It is Bruce Lee.
Got it.
But I agree with you. He was really good. He's really good. And I'll take that version every
I think
week.
it actually is a little bit circular, whereas it's not just that this level of Jalen's performance gives them the best chance to win.
Mm-hmm.
It's that the way that they're playing gives Jalen the best chance to be this level of performer. I mean, they have been absolutely more rush heavy. They're the most run heavy team in the league, just an inch above the Detroit Lions. They're increasing their play action numbers. You know, I think they were second of their 8 games this season in under center in this game. I think that the way that they're playing right now, where it is like safer passes and they're doing some of the easy stuff. We saw a lot of motion again yesterday. I think this is setting Jalen Hurts up to be as successful as he can be.
Good point. On the topic of the run heavy, the play action, and how players are with the media publicly, I got a few responses to some of the quotes that I put out from Lane Johnson, where some people said, wow, Lane's really being outspoken this year about some things. And Lane's kind of, there have been times when Lane's been a little more withdrawn. There have been times when Lane's been a little more outspoken. I think this version of Lane is great. But I wonder, and you know Lane well, you've written a lot of good stuff about him. Do you think part of this is, you know, Kelsey not being here, that he feels like he's the elder statesman of the group, that his voice carries a lot of weight? He's spoken a few times, whether it was about you know, the need to run the ball or to have that formula. He spoke yesterday about how they should have scored 40 points. They left points on the board. Do you see any difference in Lane?
I think just a little bit.
Okay.
And I don't know if it is intentional as much as it is like he has been around a long time. He trusts his own opinions. He thinks that he knows what's best for the team, and he's going to try to voice that in service of making the team as good as they are. Sure. And he's always been outspoken.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you think that it is a market difference?
Yeah. Now last year he wasn't speaking as much, and I missed that, frankly. I mean, I remember, you know, he was the man of the year candidate, and you know, he did a press conference, but he wasn't like around his locker as frequently last year. And I've covered Lane for 12 years. He's one of my favorite guys to talk to because first off, he has a great sense of humor, but I think he's honest. He's not afraid of his own voice. But I do think with Kelsey being gone, he does feel that it's, you know, I think this might be me projecting that he feels like he is the voice in the room in that regard.
Okay. Last thing is the linebackers.
Yeah.
And you know, what a game. And by the way, become a diehard. And again, this is your last chance to hop in on that best deal that we've ever had. Linebackers, the two of them, fantastic yesterday. Nakobe, obviously, making the play to win the game. And Zack Baun, who, like, from the first possession of this game defensively, was flying around to, like, a Nigel Bradham degree in terms of the plays that he was making, the ferocity that he was hitting with. Great stuff. And then, obviously, the interception as well. What did you want to focus on with these linebackers? And do you think we're going to get a Zack Baun extension?
Yeah, I mean, he's playing. He's earning it, and I think he probably sees this as a good fit here. I don't think the Eagles are going to spend out of the gym for a linebacker, but I don't know if it will take huge money to keep him. Mm-hmm. I did want to ask you,
and you would imagine from Baun's perspective, a guy who has been something of a journeyman.
Yeah,
if he finds a good home, he would want to stay. But yeah.
Do you give Howie the credit on this, or do you give Vic the credit on this?
I mean, I give Vic the credit.
You think this is because, I mean, Vic's been consistent. Like Vic, from the first press conference, Vic brought up Baun. And
from the very first press conference he gave, he was asked about linebackers, and that's the first person he said.
He's been all over Baun from the jump.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is interesting to me.
Yeah, and it's not just, I mean, it's my assumption that that's the guy that he identified in free agency because of the way that it came together, but also the implementation. Like, and he said, you know, he's talked about it. He's like, he saw just enough of what he needed to see, and he's brought it to light. And you can also probably make an inference that, you know, I know that this is Nakobe's third year, and he's struggled with injuries, and he didn't really play at all as a rookie, but we've never seen him play this well. And so there's got to be some credit given to Vic Fangio and also Bobby King, the position coach. I mean, this is the Eagles are getting. We talked about like how Saquon is producing to the degree that it is making the philosophy behind the signing look correct. So too is the defense and just the Vic Fangio is bringing a level of competence. We want to be a league average defense so that when we're playing bad offenses, we can take advantage of that. Like you have seen that over the past 4 weeks as they are coming together. And I think that the ceiling is even a little bit higher than maybe we gave them credit for, especially because the pass rush has not been awesome. But the linebackers are a big part of that.
Yeah, and I got to say, look, I know they hit on these first-round picks. Or I'm sorry, they hit on these draft picks from the early returns. And, Baun's been good, and, they add CJ. But I don't think the talent is, like, so significantly better than last year. I think the coaching is much better than last year. Now, they did improve, right? I'm not disputing that. But I think the coaching, the level of preparedness, and it's probably at all levels. I'll give a shout-out to DJ Smith. I thought he wrote a really good piece on Christian Parker, the defensive backs coach, defensive passing game coordinator over the weekend. That was in Sunday's Inquirer. But you see, like, the way that group has developed. You mentioned Bobby King. Clint Hurt. I think guys like Moro Ojima, and Thomas Booker, you're getting good production from these guys. So I think all around, like, this is now 4 games where the defense is barely allowing any touchdowns. That first half was just incredible. Yeah. And it's, Trevor Lawrence has put up numbers on people this year. I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Zach. Well, we got a long show tomorrow, so let's wrap this bad boy up. Tomorrow we are back at 2:00, and we're going to the deadline and probably a little bit beyond just to make sure that we get any hanging chads, if you will. Fran Duffy will join us, and make sure you get that Saquon shirt on the PHLY locker. Anything else coming up that we should talk about, Zach?
No, we'll speak to Nick Sirianni in about 10 minutes. So if there's news, I will have a video update on our social channels and on YouTube. Make sure, the pieces we have on all PHLY have a feature coming out this week, and looking forward to hearing the coordinators tomorrow. I think if you're looking for kind of like the narrative perspective, Kellen Moore going back to Dallas will be a storyline this week.
There you go.
We also have a watch party coming up.
We got a watch party coming up on Sunday in Manayunk at the Rook, 4:00. Join us.
Bo's old stomping grounds.
Are we doing the kickoff show from there, or we're not? It's just a watch party.
Yep.
Okay, so come hang out with other PHLY sickos as you watch the Eagles take on a Dakless Dallas Cowboys team. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. Thank you to everybody for watching and listening. Thanks to Julia for making it happen. We'll talk to you tomorrow for a long one at 2:00. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.